Let's try that one more time. So good morning, I'm Gina Studam. I'm the president of the Wyoming County Chamber of Commerce. And we're honored to have with us this morning from the PA Chamber, Ashley Mostek. She's the Government Affairs Manager, and she's going to review with us a little bit about bringing back PA. First of all, I just want to welcome everyone to the call and say thank you for joining us for our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series. As you know, we're in our rebound phase. We're getting ready to reopen our businesses. And today, again, we'll be hearing from Ashley from the PA Chamber about bringing PA back and their new website and initiative. And then on Friday, we will hear about diversifying your revenue stream. You can register for all of our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series at wyccc.com. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
And tell us a little bit about the PA Chamber for those that may not be familiar with the Chamber.
Absolutely. The Pennsylvania Chamber is the largest broad-based business association in Pennsylvania. We have nearly 10,000 members of all sizes, industry sectors. We work to serve as the voice of business in the halls of the state capitol. So we're constantly advocating for public policies that support our businesses statewide and ultimately lead to prosperity for all Pennsylvanians.
Great. And the local chambers, so all of our local chambers here and throughout the Northeast region work very closely with the PA Chamber. We're not necessarily affiliated, but they are a great resource to your local community chambers. Jean Barr, the president of the PA Chamber, is a great friend of the Wyoming County Chamber, and of course you all remember Alex Halper, who's been on many of our calls at the beginning of this series and has been a great resource to us with helping us to understand EIDL and PPP and all of the things that are happening in our world right now. Ashley, the PA Chamber has already a great page of resources for COVID-19 and for employers on the pachamber.org website. Why create a second website, this Bringing PA Back?
That's a great question. The resources that you mentioned that are on our pachamber.org site are still up, they're still accessible. That really came out of conversations we were initially having with the pandemic. What do businesses need immediately? So it was a lot of financial resources, information's on those PPP loans. We did a series of webinars that were open to members and non-members alike, that all of the information is on there. It was sort of, as quickly as possible, we tried to get as much information up as we could to assist in, a very unprecedented time for our businesses statewide. The Bringing PA Back website is part of our initiative. That is sort of the second step, if you will. So as we saw Governor Wolf's mitigation strategies helping to slow the spread of the virus, our conversation shifted from, sort of what financial resources are available to what is the next step? How can we sort of have a conversation that includes a little bit of hope for our businesses and talks about economic recovery and how we get to that point. And so Bringing PA Back, our website is really the heart of the initiative. It includes so much information that we hope is helpful to businesses as they start to move into the yellow phase, as they're making preparations to reopen. So it really is kind of a step two, if you will, from what we had initially put out on our website.
Great, and what I love about the Bringing PA Back website is that it's simplified, it's easy to follow, and it's very explanatory. So it kind of walks you through the steps you need to take, almost as a story or a guide that employers might need. So thank you for creating such a great and easy to follow site.
Thank you. That was really one of the things that we wanted to ensure that the site did, that it was easily accessible, that it was easy to navigate, and that all of the information that we were told by our local chamber partners, by our policy roundtable members, by other associations, industry leaders, the information and the concerns they had would be addressed in a concise way, and it would sort of become a one-stop shop for businesses to really start making those plans to reopen.
Well, it's certainly doing that, right? So as we talked yesterday, this site is very fluid, much like our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series. We need to be on our toes and kind of able to change our information daily. And that's what we're doing here with this series. But I know that's also what you're doing with this website. So it is able to change kind of on the spot, correct?
Absolutely. We are making changes to it every day. Anytime we have an opportunity to talk about the initiative and the site specifically, we love to do it, just because there is such an abundance of information and honestly some misinformation that is out there. And we want to be sure that our members specifically and non-members have access to information that is credible, that is provided by state and federal guidelines, that are best practices that are established from associations that we know are credible and trustworthy, because we want to be sure at the end of the day that our businesses statewide are protecting themselves and are protecting their employees and ultimately their customers when they reopen their doors.
Well, I can tell you as a community chamber, we certainly appreciate this tool. Allison and I have been working very hard to update all of our resources on our chamber website. And I felt like the beginning of this, all we did was scour the internet for credible information and credible links. And even now finding certain pieces, state orders for, how to maintain your work site, how to restart your work site, and all those state orders are sometimes a little hard to find. So I appreciate you putting it all in one place and making it easy for us.
Absolutely.
Let's get right to it. So one of the great things that I found on your homepage is a simplified regional reopening map. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So as everyone is aware, Governor Wolf had put out his reopening plan for Pennsylvania. What we wanted to do was, to your point, provide a very streamlined map that was easy to understand for anyone who's visiting the site. So as you can see, any of the counties that are still in the red phase are indicated on here, yellow as well. We also constantly will update, we'll provide press releases, any updates on upcoming reopenings. As you'll see on the screen, following counties are moving to the yellow phase as of Friday. So at that point, we will be updating this map accordingly. You can also go ahead and click on your county and it will tell you specifically what phase you're in and what the restrictions are on people socially and in the workplace. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is if you scroll down a little bit further, you can also look right here. And again, it will give you all of the information regarding travel, workplace restrictions for each of the phases. We know there's been a lot of confusion in that regard. And so again, we wanted to be sure that we made this easy to access, easy to understand right on the homepage of the site.
Yes, and I think it certainly does that. It's very simplified. I know a lot of people have been asking me for the graphic the state put out on that red, yellow, green phase. And sometimes, again, it's hard to, just get everything you need from a graphic. And then certainly there's been speculation and maps out there that speculate what phase we're in. So this is a great resource to say, okay, this is where we're at right now.
Exactly, and that's a very good point to make. We do not update any of the color coding until the state has officially moved those counties into the next phase. So like I said, on Friday, the counties that are listed, Allegheny, Armstrong, so forth, they will officially be moved, and that's when we will update the map accordingly.
Great. Well, we appreciate that, that map. So let's get into some of the resources that you have. And one of the things I noticed, and I think we're all really thinking about, is how do I prepare my workplace? So right up at the top of the page, which you're getting to here, is this Getting Started button. And there's, kind of 4 very simplified, here's the 4 things that you need to be thinking about right now. But let's start with preparing your workplace, and then we'll walk through from there.
Absolutely. So I think most businesses will spend a good amount of time on this section of the site, to your point, especially as we start knowing that we're going to be moving into a yellow phase, hopefully in the coming weeks. What we did on this page is really focus on the facility, on the physical location of a business. So what those business operators will need in terms of CDC guidance, OSHA compliance, any kind of state issued guidance. We have a lot of those links built right in here for easy access. We also didn't want to make it so focused on links. So we went ahead and at least put together some key takeaways that we thought were important and worth noting. Everything from cleaning and sanitizing your facility, right down to the continued need for social distancing and what that might look like. We certainly encourage everyone to read through the full guidelines in their entirety, but we wanted to at least give a starting point to say, okay, this is what I need to do right off of the bat. These are the key takeaways from some of these documents that have been put out.
Very good. So one of the big questions that we continue to get is how can I find the personal protective equipment that I need? And you've built a great resource here, and I know some of your staff members have been valuable throughout this process in compiling this information.
Yeah, so from the beginning, my colleague Kevin Sunday on our government affairs team, he had been instrumental in communicating with our membership and asking, who's able to provide this information, these materials, who is able to transition their manufacturing operations to create these materials. And so he's also been compiling a very robust list of what is available. So we have relayed this information to the Department of Community and Economic Development, but you can also find it right here. So you can click on that link under PPE and you can see a list of companies that are providing PPE and then cleaning and disinfecting services as well. So as part of the workplace preparation, we wanted to be sure that in addition to giving businesses guidelines for sanitizing their facilities, that we also gave them the resources they might need to get in contact with a provider who can assist in that way, who can make sure that their facilities are up to the standards of the CDC or OSHA before they welcome employees back.
And I think this is a great list, but I did notice that I have a few members who do provide this service that aren't on the list. So how would they get added to the list if they need to do that?
We would love to know about them. If you would please, you're welcome to email me directly. I'm happy to communicate with our team and get them included on this list and up on the website. My email is just amosstack@pachamber.org.
And we will post that when we post the video later today. So we'll post Ashley's contact information, and we'll post a link directly to that list so that you can see if you're on there or not. And then you could certainly email and be added to the list. So
thank you. And thank you to all of your members who are providing those resources. Those are obviously very critical, and the need is continuing to be there. So we appreciate that.
Now, one thing, Ashley, are those resources vetted? So some people are kind of creating, overnight disinfecting. Hey, we can come and do this, and we had a great webinar on that in our Restart series with a company that is very well known, has been in business for a long time. And we want to, again, make sure that we're getting our workspaces clean, but also with a company that is trusted and licensed. In some cases, they need to be licensed to do this.
No, absolutely. All of the information has been vetted. Our team has been very thorough about looking through everything from those particular vendors to the guidelines and best practices that are available on the site. We, again, really wanted to be sure that the information we were providing was accurate and would be helpful. There's so much misinformation, and there's so much information that just leads to some confusion. If you'll see on the right side of this page, we even have industry-specific guidelines and best practices. Those guidelines are either state or federally produced information. The best practices are from associations that we felt were credible and would add value to the site and would be helpful to the people who are accessing it.
Great. And will those industry-specific guidelines be added to or be built out as we start to reopen? So certainly there are some great ones here, but one industry that I'm thinking about that is really struggling right now is, of course, our hair salons, our barbershops, and our gyms. Anybody who provides what we're calling personal services. So do you plan to build out this list as you go?
We do. We've actually been in conversations. The list has grown significantly just in the past couple of weeks. To your point, things are constantly changing, but our goal is to continue to provide these guidelines, best practices. The way it looks may change as they continue to grow. We want to make it as easy to access and navigate as possible. So we will be adding them as they become available. We don't feel that we're in the position to necessarily create the guidelines. Who knows an industry better than industry leaders themselves? So as that information becomes available, we'll continue to vet it. We'll be sure that it's added to the site and labeled accordingly, whether it is a government produced document or it's, a third party, it's an association or a group like that.
Very good. Is there anything else you want to share under the preparing your workspace? I know we got down to, maybe the cleaning and disinfecting. I think we're kind of right at the beginning of this. So again, I love how it walks you through, step one, prepare, and then step two, let's take action and start really building a plan.
And I just want to point out as well that there is a link here, a contact us email, just bringing PA back at pachamber.org. You are welcome to send us an email via that link as well if you have any questions about the site or if there's feedback that you wanted to offer, other concerns, things like that. We certainly are continuing to make changes based on what we're hearing from our members and others across the state. But yeah, to your point, once we prepare, we certainly want to put you in a position to take action, implementing those policies, figuring out which best practices make sense based on your industry and your business, communicating with your employees, which we'll actually get into on the next page as well, and making sure that you are instilling a sense of confidence in your business, that your employees and your customers can, they know that your facility is safe, that they can enter, and that you're doing everything you can to keep them protected, with their well-being in mind.
Ashley,
and then,
go ahead.
Oh no, please go ahead.
So I see, using the guidelines above, implement safety policies and best practices for both your employees and your customers. Will there be any kind of templates available to do that? So I know, again, you've laid it out here very well, but it's still a little intimidating for, let's say, a small local retailer that might have 1 or 2 employees. They're trying to, clean their store, get it all set up, and then, oh yeah, you have to develop an operating procedure on how you're going to stay clean and stay safe and publish that. And so,
right.
Is there help out there to do that?
There is. So 2 parts here. We are looking into additional documentation that we can provide based on these guidelines that can help make things a little bit more streamlined. The other thing I did want to mention is that our team internally is working on a very robust webinar series that will essentially, again, I think instill some confidence in employees and customers who are coming back, knowing that they're the employer has gone through these steps to prepare. So details of that will be announced soon, but there's a lot of ongoing conversation internally about what that looks like. How best to demonstrate, something in the window, a certification of sorts that would say, I've gone above and beyond to make sure that I'm opening in a very safe way. Because at the end of the day, we want businesses in Pennsylvania to open quickly, but we also want them to open safely. There's this fine balance between, public health and the economy, and we want to be respectful of what that looks like.
Definitely. Well, speaking of that, how do people stay in touch with you about what those webinars are that are coming up? I know I'm on your email list, of course, so I get emailed often. So maybe talk a little bit about what that communication from the PA Chamber looks like.
Great. What I would recommend doing, right down here, step 3, stay informed. You can click right here and sign up for Chamber Communications. So this is actually the 4th pathway under the Get Started menu. Partially a nod to membership and to those members who are with us. But at the bottom, want to learn more is what I would encourage you to fill out. This will get you the latest updates, any alerts that come out. We certainly are respectful of how much we're sending, but we want to be sure that we can communicate any big changes, any additions to the website. Again, those webinars. Again, we want to be sure that we are being a resource for businesses statewide. So this is the best way to stay in touch with us. You're also welcome to call. Our office is obviously closed, our headquarters in Harrisburg, but we have staff in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and the Lehigh Valley and Hazleton, and everyone is working remotely. So we are all accessible and available just from the comfort of our home.
Well, very good. So the next part of your website, again, is that communication, right? So how do we welcome back our employees, and how do we welcome back our customers eventually? This can be a little intimidating to all of us because, again, with the retail store, your whole business model is dependent on your customers. And if they don't feel safe, they're not going to come. So how do you instill that safety, and what resources do you have here for that?
Absolutely. I think a lot of that starts with the cleaning and sanitation, knowing how to make sure that your physical facility is cleaned, and that if someone does come in and shows symptoms of COVID-19, that you know what the proper protocol is to address that and to minimize any spread of the virus. The page that I have here is welcoming customers and employees back. We've broken down a couple of recommendations under each for customers, for employees, and obviously this will vary based on what your business is, what your model is, what you're able to do. But we wanted to make sure that we laid it all out so that as businesses are planning to reopen, they can say, okay, in my case, curbside delivery is our best option. Doing call ahead, can we install plastic barriers or shields at registers, which we've been seeing a lot at grocery stores, things of that nature. Can we continue to have our staff teleworking? Is that the best option? This page really is dedicated to the human element of the business versus the physical location. One of the things that I really want to point out that we're very proud of is this documentation right down here. Pennsylvania Chamber Insurance, they actually put this together for us. And it is a PDF document that I would very much encourage you to take a look at. This, again, really emphasizes the human element of reopening. So talking to your employees, making sure that you're communicating with them what you've done, the plans that you've made to bring them back, how you're going to keep them safe, how you're going to keep your customers safe. Is there a phased-in approach? Are you getting feedback from your employees? Are you hearing their concerns? And again, just kind of keeping those lines of communication open. But I think this document is a very valuable tool that I hope others will find very helpful as they move through that process.
And I love, just on this document, it says, stop talking and start listening. One of the stories I've heard is about an employer who was bringing all of his employees back, and he had an administrative person in his office, and she came in and she was very hesitant and sat in his office, and he thought she was going to say, like, I'm not comfortable and I'm not going to work right now, right? So he kind of sat back and he was listening to her. He said, well, what can we do to help you feel more comfortable? And she said, could we just maybe move my desk back to the corner off, like the corner space, that was, just, again, it was an 8-foot move. It was just something that she wanted to rearrange her space or that front room. And she didn't know how to ask. So by him just saying, tell me what it is you need, he was like, yes, let's do it right now, and was able to do that for her. And she felt comfortable and he felt happy that she could stay on. But I think a lot of times as employers, we're so used to fixing it, right? And kind of preparing for the worst. So let's just listen to our employees right now and figure out what that is. And on the flip side too, listening to your customers. So they may be able to provide you with some feedback that would help them to feel safer within your business.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think, sorry, are you getting feedback?
Nope, I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think this document really is at the heart of that. I mean, employees are, they're essential to the business, and we want to be sure that we give them an opportunity to address their concerns and to be open about, hesitations they may have, so that when they feel confident, that confidence is relayed to the customers who are coming in. And I will head back here. The other thing that this site, this page in particular includes, is just some information, some, real world challenges. We have to be realistic here. Childcare is an issue. Schools are closed, daycares are closed. Even when they start to reopen, we're not quite sure what that will look like in terms of social distancing and those protocols. There's definitely going to be, I think, some changes in the way childcare, the way daycares are run. We've seen that already with the daycares that have remained open for essential workers, the children of essential workers. Reskilling, we've linked to some helpful webinars, articles that we think might be helpful. But again, one of the things that we've been stressing is the need for flexibility with employees to the extent that that's possible. I think we all share similar fears, concerns, and at the end of the day have a lot of the same challenges that others do as well. The last thing I wanted to mention on here, step 3, is promote employment opportunities. We had initially been collecting information from employers who were looking to hire, that had immediate openings, and we were trying to be able to be a resource for individuals who are seeking employment, who may have lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic. So what we ended up doing is working collaboratively with DCED, Labor and Industry. And now what we have done is linked to the COVID-19 job portal. So any of the information that was provided to us, we have shared and is reflected on this site. But I would highly encourage anyone who has questions to let us know, or to reach out, to reach out directly about this site. But there is an employer intake form here if you have positions that you're looking to fill. And there's also some additional resources and assistance provided from the Department of Labor and Industry as well.
Terrific. And it's a very extensive site. I was out there a few days ago when they first announced their job portal. It is a very extensive site. We also, as your local chamber, offer job listings free of charge to all businesses within the community. That's not just a member service. We offer that to all businesses. Again, our economy is important to our chamber, and getting our workforce employed, keeping them employed is very important to us. So we have the opportunity there, but we'll also link out to this portal. And the form for employers to use to submit jobs to this portal is very easy as well. So make sure you take time to look into this if you are hiring right now, or you feel that you may need to hire in the future.
And just to Gina's point, here is the code, or the form you can fill out if you are looking to hire.
So we have a few questions coming in through the chat box, Ashley, if you don't mind taking these, and then we'll touch on the last step about public policy. So one of the questions is, do you need to be a member of the PA Chamber to be included on the list for PPE and disinfecting services?
The answer is no. We actually wanted this site to be all inclusive. So we are a membership organization, just like our local chamber friends. But in this pandemic, in this sort of unprecedented time, we really felt that it was important to be a resource to all businesses, members and non-members alike. It is certainly our hope that, maybe organizations that weren't familiar with us before now know some of the services that we offer, and will join our ranks of nearly 10,000 members moving forward when the time is right. But at the end of the day, we want to see a strong, vibrant Pennsylvania economy, and in our opinion, the way to do that is to make these resources available to everyone, members and non-members alike.
Terrific. And I think the next question, I think I did see this, but are there resources for restaurants when they go to dine in, specifically wearing masks? And I'll speak to this a little bit. We did a webinar on Monday with the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association. They spoke a lot to this question, and they have amazing resources on their site as well. But I think your site actually links out to their site for some of those guidelines around restaurants.
You are exactly right. And I can go back here.
So again, it's under preparing your workplace and on that right side toolbar.
We have restaurant lodging, best practices for food safety, and then also the promise, the restaurant promise that they had put together as well.
Very good. So finally, I think we did talk about your voice matters, correct? And now we're to the public policy. And this is really where the PA Chamber shines and also helps our local chambers who don't necessarily have time to really focus on what the policies should look like. The chamber does that, and then we as local community chambers support what they're doing. So I'll let you kind of take over this, but I think there's some great resources out here.
Absolutely. So the policy component is really at the heart of the initiative, because at the end of the day, what we want to see come out of this are reforms that help re-energize and restart the economy. So what we had done in those communications with our local chamber partners, with our industry stakeholders, with other associations, we put together this comprehensive list of initial public policy recommendations. And that covers everything from certainly taxes, simplifying tax code and regulations, infrastructure, when it comes down to 5G wireless deployment, healthcare, government efficiencies, energy and environmental permitting regulations. We tried to sort of go through industry by industry and put together a summary, recommendations for our General Assembly to kind of guide them as we move out of this. We are confident that implementing some of these recommendations will help re-energize the economy.
Very good. Yes, and I think one of the key things that you're all working on right now, and I know Jean Barr spoke to our community chambers about this last week, was the providing liability protection for all employers during this time. So do you want to speak a little bit to that? Because that's something they can take action on right now, correct?
Yes, absolutely. The executive order that was issued by the governor does not, in our opinion, go far enough to offer liability protections for employers. It's our opinion that, and our belief that any essential business that has continued to operate in this climate should be protected from unnecessary lawsuits. And at this point, they don't have those protections. We have had a number of businesses, switch over their manufacturing processes to create PPE, and those businesses deserve to have liability protections in place for the sacrifice that they've made to to provide that absolutely necessary PPE. At this point, we're encouraging any business, throughout the state, in partnership with our local chambers, of course, to reach out to your representative, to your senator, at the state level, and let them know what it is that you need to reopen. That you need to know that when you are going through and you are doing your due diligence, you're taking action to keep your employees safe, to keep your customers safe, that once you do open your doors, that you have liability protections in place.
Very good. And certainly Senator Lisa Baker was on with us last Friday, and she is a huge supporter of this as well. She understands the need to protect all of our businesses as we go through this. We are getting another question, and this is regarding real estate sales. So will there be guidance on the reopening of real estate sales on the site when the voting finishes up in Harrisburg? And are you, I don't know again what area of expertise, but are you following that as well and what's happening with real estate sales right now? Because that's a big issue.
Yeah, I am. I actually, again, any updates that we can provide, we are doing that. Our entire team is keeping an eye out for any sort of industry guidelines, any best practices that we can share. As changes happen, we will be continuing to update the site.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for that. There is, I know Ashley is very busy today and has another thing she needs to get to, but there is a chat window. If you had any final questions, please submit them. There is one coming through. Let me just see if I can read this quick. I know the PA Chamber is working on behalf of the businesses to try to get clarification from the state. Has there been any clarification or plans to extend licensing and training requirements for fields that require state licensing, such as specialty contractors with asbestos and radon?
Not to my knowledge, but what I can do is follow up with you. I can check with our government affairs team, my colleagues, and see if they're aware of anything that is moving.
Great, because I think what's happening right now, right, so the state has closed a lot of their offices, and a lot of our local people who rely on those state licensing, they can't get their license renewed. So they don't want to say that we're going to come into your workspace and clean without having those proper licenses in place to protect themselves again with this liability.
Absolutely. And actually, one of the things that we have under our policy recommendations is basically that we need, not sure where it is on here, that any sort of permitting, licensing, renewals, inspections, we're recommending that those happen as quickly and as seamlessly as possible to allow businesses to open safely. So again, I am more than happy to specifically look into that and follow up with you after speaking with our team.
That would be great. Ashley, thank you so much for your time today. This has been very valuable to me, but also I think to our members. We'll be sure to get a link to bringing PA back on our website, wyccc.com. But again, any last comments from the State Chamber as we move forward in this?
Sure. Again, thank you so much for your time, first and foremost. We just, again, want to be a resource for all of your members, for businesses statewide. Please explore the site, bringingpaback.com. And as you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly, communicate. Gina, it's been really a pleasure working with you thus far, and you're definitely an asset, a resource to the members in your area.
Well,
so thank you for everything you're doing.
Yes, and thank you very much. And I hope you stay well and your family stays well. And to all of our members out there, be sure to go to our website and register for the additional webinars within this series. And thank you for joining us this morning. We look forward to having you with us again on Friday. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.